Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome on into episode 246 of the Garage Beers podcast, coming to you live here on the OBR streaming network. The Orange and Brown Report is the best place for both Cleveland Browns coverage and to hang out with us anywhere in Cleveland. So make sure you get over to the OBR.com. Make sure you get over to, whether you're on the YouTube page, the Twitch page, make sure you hit subscribe, hit like, get to the socials at the OBR everywhere. We got breaking news everywhere going on with the Cleveland Browns, and the OBR is always at the forefront of that. So make sure you are subscribed everywhere you can. And make sure while you're at it, you are getting over to the Garage Beers on the socials and hitting follow and making sure you like as well. With you as always, I'm your host, Michael Keefe at Garage Beers Mike. And joining me tonight over on the east side of Cleveland, find him online at Garage Beers Chad. It's Chad Meyer. What's up, Chad?
Hey, what's the weirdest rabbit hole you've ever went down, or like just a weird rabbit hole you ever went, like when you've been scrolling or searching, like you just found yourself doing it, and then afterwards you're like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, I saw your post about this earlier, so I won't steal your thunder. It got me thinking. I don't know that I can pinpoint like a weird rabbit hole that I've gone down, but man, the way social media works, right? Like TikTok, or at least for the next few days, TikTok,
Yeah,
or Instagram Reels, or Facebook Reels. Like right now, and I don't know why I find this as funny as I do, but like my Facebook Reels are all these like Australian dudes that prank each other. And it's absolutely hilarious, but I'll watch one video and then the algorithm's like, oh, you must like that. And so then it just keeps feeding me the videos. And next thing I know, it's like 3:00 in the morning. And I'm like, I have to go to bed. Like, what is happening?
yeah.
So yeah, it hooks you the way it works. It hooks you.
Yeah, it really does, man. Like, I never thought a sea shanty would give me like chills, but like it got me there, dude. I couldn't stop watching these things. They're just so damn catchy. And yeah, I don't know. Like, listen to this.
She stole my sight and cursed me, captain of the shadow. She took my eyes and cursed me, captain of the shadow.
How could you not like this gave me like this put me on a boat in like a pirate movie in a storm and I don't know, just battling the sea and like feeling like more of a man for it afterwards, even though I was at work.
Yeah. See, that I could dig. That I could get into because that's like a fun song.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's this group of dudes that do like sea shanties.
Mm-hmm.
They all sing in like very deep bass voices.
Yeah.
And I hate them. I hate them because it's this like nerdy 130-pound dude that like puts red lighting on his face and he tries to look mean with his like paper thin facial hair. And I'm like, what are you doing? You look like an idiot. You look stupid.
Well, this guy, like if you watch that guy, the one I sang, he you don't even see his eyes. He has his head down with like one of those golf caps on. You don't even see his eyes, and he's just doing this.
Yeah, part of me thinks it's super lame. And then like that song, I was like, I could listen to that. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. You tell us. Get in the comments. Let us know what your weird online I almost said the word fetishes. I do not want to know that.
Yeah, I'm sure Serge has gotten into feet before.
I don't want to know any of that shit. Please do not say that.
Oh, you're about to get it now that you said something.
Yeah, well, no, I want to know none of your fetishes, so leave that shit to yourself. Yeah, sorry we are late tonight. It's entirely my fault. I am down here in the Cincinnati area, and we're at a work function, right? So, Chad, tonight's work function thing was like the fun night.
Okay.
Where we're staying at this place. It's like a hotel, but it's also like a sports complex.
Oh, cool.
So like there's this entire thing across the street. It's a whole it's like 25 basketball courts, but then they do like volleyball tournaments and
oh wow.
So my company sets up a pickleball tournament.
Okay.
And I want you to know that I've played pickleball one other time in my life.
Nice.
And it was here last year.
Just a giant version of ping pong.
That was the first time I ever played pickleball. And tonight was the second night I ever played pickleball. So like the thing started at 7:30 and I thought, no big deal. I'll be out of here.
Yeah.
So my buddy and I it's also his second time ever playing pickleball.
Uh-huh.
Start playing in this. It's like a tournament. They set up a bracket and everything.
Yeah.
And we're just beating everybody. We're just running through everybody. There's people here with pickleball bags and like their own rackets. And I guess they make special shoes for pickleball. I don't know. And we're just beating everyone.
Oh,
and so all of a sudden it's like 8:45 and they're like, hey, you guys are in the semifinals. And I'm like, I have to go.
Yeah, right.
So I text Chad. I'm like, I looked at my buddy. I'm like, I can't let you down. We can't forfeit.
Well, shit, if I would have known that, I would have been like, yeah, let's just skip tonight.
We can't forfeit.
Yeah.
What I knew though was that the two guys we were playing are like, I don't know, maybe they're like semi-pro, I don't know.
Okay.
But like you can't get anything over on them. Yeah. They won every game. Like you play to 11, they won every game like 11-1, 11-0, 11-1.
Yeah.
So we go up against them and I think we lost like 11-5 and 11-6. But then I just came booking it back over here. So I'm sorry that we are late getting the live stream started. Pickleball was intense. I'm sweating. But it's very fun.
Did you go Happy Gilmore on them? Did you go, you know what the pathetic thing is? You've been playing pickleball your whole life.
It's kind of how I felt, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's very fun though, man. It's very fun.
It is. It's a good time.
It's very fun. Especially if you get like the right group of people playing, it's a good time.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes me want to get good at it.
Yeah. Well, it's a good way to stay in shape. It's a nice little workout.
I played a good amount of tennis in my life. Obviously, I played like ping pong. So like just kind of naturally, you kind of know how to play.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're decent at it, but man, some of these people are so good. Like it's wild.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's why we're late. My bad.
Dick.
So listen, we've got a lot of stuff that we want to talk about on tonight's episode. Obviously, the Ohio State Buckeyes take down the Texas Longhorns. We want to talk about that and the upcoming matchup against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish for the national title. That is awesome. We want to talk about the Cleveland Browns have a new offensive coordinator. The city of Cleveland and the Cleveland Browns are still an embarrassment to all of the people in this entire region. Yeah. And so we'll talk about that. And there may be more news coming on Deshaun. We may hit on that. The red hot Columbus Blue Jackets right now, I think they're in overtime. They're going to shootout against Philly. So we're going to talk about the Blue Jackets. We'll talk about the Cavaliers and so much more. So we appreciate the fact that you're here. The Cavs got back on the winning side of things tonight. They got revenge against the Pacers. We'll talk about all that. We'll talk about more. We're going to have a great time here on episode 246. But before we get into any of it, we got to do our Garage Beers of the Week, where we just tell you what we're drinking. You get into the comments, let us know what you're drinking, and we'll have a good time. Chad, what is your Garage Beer of the Week this week?
Yeah, man, I grabbed a Collision Bend 8 Crazy Nights.
Ooh, is that good?
It's delicious.
I've not had it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's this very I mean, apple cider with cinnamon in it. Alcoholic apple cider with cinnamon in it. But like it's also beer. it's more beery than apple cidery, but like it's beer with like a hint of apple cider in it, and it's delicious.
Clear as mud, my dude. Clear as mud.
Yeah. Well, it's like apple cider flavoring beer, like how like there's like bumbleberry, like blueberry beer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it's like. That's what I meant to say. Should have gone that route.
Sounds delightful.
Yeah.
Sounds like a true delight.
Very, very tasty.
So you got Collision Bend. So this hotel is kind of cool in that on the first floor there is a brewery. So there's a full bar, but then there's also a brewery. It's called Municipal City Brew Works, I think.
Okay. All right.
And so I am starting tonight. They make great dark beers down here, like great stouts.
All right.
So this is called the Midnight Cut. It's like an imperial stout. It is delicious. Okay. And that's what I'm going with. So down here in the Cincinnati area, Municipal Brew Works, and this is the Midnight Cut. And tasty beer.
Tasty. It's a tasty beverage.
So again, if you're watching us, if you're with us live here tonight, put your beer in the comments and we'll flash it up on the screen. But now it's time for us to get in to episode 246 of the Garage Beers podcast. And we would be remiss if we didn't start the podcast tonight, Chad, by talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes, a Buckeyes team that took a pretty good test from that Texas Longhorns team, a Buckeyes team that was 3 feet away from facing a tie game.
Yeah.
But a Buckeyes team that just did what they've done in all games, except the Blue Jackets won again, in all games except for one this year. The Ohio State Buckeyes made the big plays when they needed to make the big plays, and they come away with a 2-score victory over the Texas Longhorns to punch their ticket to the national championship game. And I'm starting to feel, Chad, I want the college football playoff committee to change the playoffs every year, because I feel like every year there's a change. The Ohio State Buckeyes go to the national title game. Right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
Like, yeah, every year, like 16 next year, 14 the following year, and then go back to 8. Let's go. Yeah, let's do all of that. If that guarantees us a national championship, yeah, I'm in.
So far, there's been 2 changes. One was to just go to the playoff, to make it a playoff system. The Ohio State Buckeyes won the first ever college football playoff.
Yeah. And
then they expanded it this year to 12 teams. And Ohio State is 1 win away from another national championship. What a win, though. And not just what a win, Chad, but let's talk about the most obvious thing to talk about, which is one of the great plays in the history of Ohio State football, when Jack Sawyer beats the right tackle off the edge in a huge moment of the game, strips Quinn Ewers, recovers the fumble, and returns it 80-plus yards to the house to put Ohio State up 2 scores, man. It is – I saw a debate. What was better, Ezekiel Elliott's run against Alabama or Jack Sawyer's play? I don't know which one is better, but dude, it is immediately in that category of plays.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think you can put a ranking on that, because both of those plays pretty much sent Ohio State to the national championship game, and they were huge plays. But yeah, man, it was, offensively, Texas really hit a rhythm there about the middle of the second quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, and then so when the Buckeyes made it 21-14, a drive they needed big time. And then when Texas went right down the field, I mean, they marched right down the field, and all you could think of was, yeah, this is going into overtime, so we're going to have a battle on our hands. But then they got to the goal line, and the best goal line defense in college football took over. I mean, Texas tried to run it up the middle at first, stuffed. You go out in the perimeter, this defense is too fast. Caleb Downs just makes an incredible read for a tackle for loss.
That's they tried to run. Get out.
Yeah. And then it was a matter of coverage at that point, because as soon as they made that tackle for loss, I don't know, you just felt like that, again, with how good Ohio State's goal line defense was, that they were not gonna get 7 yards and get into the end zone. They just weren't. And then Jack comes up with the big play. It bounces right to him. I was honestly, and I'll be honest with you, I was totally expecting him to get tackled at some point, because he was just chugging along.
I was wondering the whole time where the hell Texas was.
Yeah.
Like, there were running backs and wide receivers out there.
Yeah, Blue was the only one chasing after him, and it's like everybody gave up. Yeah, I was surprised that I didn't see more attempts to tackle him, but yeah, he made it, and man, dude, that was just I had trouble not waking up my house when that was going on.
Well, you talk about dominating the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. They dominated. I mean, and it doesn't become more apparent. Like you said, that first down play where they just stuff the run up the middle.
Yeah.
And then the second down play where they try to run to the outside, and you dominate the line of scrimmage, but you do it with like your safeties and linebackers.
Yeah.
And then the third play, which I don't think will get talked about enough, but it was a huge play. They dominate the line of scrimmage again, and they get in Quinn Ewers' face as he's trying to throw the ball to the back quarter of the end zone, and they tip the pass.
And it was Sawyer, too, again.
And it was Sawyer that tips the pass.
Yeah.
That flutters incomplete, because I think we all kind of had a heart attack moment there when that pass went up.
Yeah.
But it falls incomplete. And then Sawyer on the next play, just that offensive tackle had no shot. Nope. Quinn Ewers had no shot.
Yeah.
and for him to pick it up and rumble and stumble down the line, it just, I know the game wasn't as close as like a 2-touchdown victory might suggest, or I'm sorry, it wasn't as far away.
Yeah.
Spread out as a 2-touchdown victory might suggest. But in the end, this Ohio State Buckeyes team has now played Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas. They've beaten them all by double digits. It's still a double-digit victory. And one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot with this run, a lot of people got on to whatever various platforms that they have.
Yeah.
And they really complained on behalf of Oregon. They really complained that, hey, the number one team in the country, and look at the part of the bracket that they're in with Ohio State and Tennessee and Texas, and look at what they're going to have to run through to get to the national title game. On the other hand of that, look at what Ohio State has run through to get to the national title game.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And on one hand, I understand the argument, but at the same time, I don't, because it just goes back to, you're going to have to play him at some point anyway.
Right.
So it's I get it. I get it that you've earned probably an easier path than you had, being the number one team in the nation, going undefeated, winning your conference. I get that. But at the same time, it's going to be, you're going to face one of the top 12 teams every year, whether you're the 1 seed, the 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed, 5 seed. So you're going to have to beat them anyway. So I don't get that. I will say this, though, knowing that right now, like knowing the path that they had, I would not be shocked going forward in college football that if the conference title games, if coaches if these top 12 teams, if you know you're going to be in the playoff, if these top 12 teams don't start losing on purpose and strategizing to position yourself in the bracket, to give yourself the best opportunity to get to the national championship game, right? Like if you're Oregon next year, how do you not go, oh yeah, guys, I'm making sure we're losing 2 games next year, right? Or right? But I understand that, but at the same time, you're to be the man, you got to beat the man. So you're going to have to play him at some point.
I was just going to bring up the great Ric Flair quote: "To be the man, you got to beat the man."
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you're going to have to sack up and play. I know it's the whole rest versus rust argument as well. So yeah, you didn't come out. You didn't come out firing on all cylinders, and you ran into a buzzsaw of a Buckeye team. Sorry, it's the way this playoff system is going to work from now on.
Yeah, and listen, this is a wild situation. I think they will learn from this. The top 4 teams should get the bye.
Yeah,
not the conference champions.
Sure, right.
The top 4 teams should get the bye. Whoever's ranked 1 through 4 in the final poll at the end should get the bye. Arizona State had no business with a bye. Boise State, no business with a bye.
And I was confused at that part too, because I thought the Mountain West was not a Power 5 conference to begin with.
It's not, but it's whatever team is highest ranked out of the group of 5 conferences.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
That's who gets. The whole thing, that part was stupid. They do need to fix it. But again, in the end, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Right.
And right now, the man for Ohio State is Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And that's all that separates the Buckeyes from their 3rd national championship of this century.
Sidebar for a quick second. Best, highest ranked team out of the group of 5. Just close your eyes and picture this for a second here, Mike. Close your eyes for a second. 0-12 Kent State just runs roughshod through the MAC next year and just kills everybody. It gives the non-conference opponents a good game as well. Imagine the Kent State Golden Flashes being in the college football playoff.
But yes, they could.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
There's gonna be years where a MAC team is the highest ranked.
Yeah.
Team. It has happened before.
Yeah. So all right. So that's all I wanted to say. It's crazy to think about, but it's amazing, and that's why you have to love this 12-team playoff.
And that's why it is amazing, though. Like that group of 5, those conferences, whoever the best team out of there is, should have a crack at the title.
Yeah, why not?
It's what pissed me off when I was at Bowling Green.
Yeah,
because when I was at Bowling Green, BG was a top 25 team every year.
Right.
There was their very best year they ever had, they played in the Motor City Bowl.
Right, for sure.
They had no shot at a national title.
I was there the year they played Northwestern.
I was there too.
Yeah.
They lost. Who'd they lose to that year? The only team they lost to that year was Ben Roethlisberger and the Miami Redhawks.
Oh, yeah, because they beat Northern Illinois. Right.
Yes. I was at College Game Day was at Bowling Green. I was there.
So was I. Mike, we got hammered together before we even met.
Oh, hammered. BG versus Northern Illinois. Both teams were in the top 20 when that
Michael
game happened.
the Burner Turner.
Michael Burner Turner against Josh Harris and Cole Magner and Steve Sanders and that whole group. Was it BJ Pope, I think, was the running back.
The sweet, sweet Swede of Cole Magner.
And BG steamrolled Northern Illinois in that game.
Yeah.
But like that Ben Roethlisberger Miami team, they would have been the team that had a shot at a national title, and they should have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love it. But let's get back on task here,
Yeah.
Chad. Because on the other side of things, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish took down Indiana. They took down Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And then this week, in a pretty good game, they took down our one of our guys that we always root for, Drew Aller, and the Penn State Nittany Lions. And so here's your clash. Notre Dame and that phenomenal defense. Notre Dame's got a great defense.
Right.
Great defense. Led by former Ohio State linebacker as their head coach.
Yeah.
A Notre Dame team that has an offense that if you let it get going, it can be dangerous. But if you stifle it, it has trouble getting going. Against this Ohio State Buckeyes team, Chad. Let's preview this game. How do we feel about this matchup?
Well, initially when Ohio State won, Ohio State beat Texas. As soon as the Cotton Bowl championship was won, I went, oh yeah, the Buckeyes are going to kill them. Buckeyes are going to win, 34-13. They're just going to kill the Irish in this game. And and Vegas obviously thinks so too. 9.5 point favorite. Then, because I'm a loser and don't have a life, I rewatched Penn State and Notre Dame. Rewatched Penn State and Notre Dame, and I have some concerns.
Okay.
I have some concerns.
Yeah.
I still
voice
think. What's that?
I said voice them, buddy.
No,
Let them out.
I shall
let them out.
Them. Again, let me preface this by saying I still think Ohio State wins, but this is a Notre Dame defense that leads the nation in enforcing turnovers.
Yes.
Right. So Will Howard's going to be have to be very careful with the football. All right. He was fitting it into some tight windows against Texas, and fortunately it worked out. But this is a Notre Dame defense that is swarming. That secondary is elite. So Will is just going to have to be very, very smart with the football. The other thing that worries me, and this is the thing that worries me the most, is their physicality. And I think Notre Dame is more physical is a more physical team than Michigan is. And we've all seen in years past what happens to these Ohio State teams when they get punched in the mouth. Now, that being said, with the way this Ohio State team has come out these last couple of weeks, I think they can match it. I think they can overcome it, but it's still that kind of, it's still kind of in the back of your head, at least in the back of my head, saying that, oh my God, this is a Notre Dame team that can beat you up, right? This is what they want to do. They want to make the game ugly. They want to get in the mud with you, right? So I think it is imperative for Ohio State to get out to a fast start, get a couple of stops, break their spirit, because if you let a scrappy physical team like Notre Dame hang around, all of a sudden you're in a dogfight with a Notre Dame team that's eventually going to make a game-changing play. So I think you need to jump on them early, break their spirit, and when you got Jesus on your side, like Notre Dame does. Yeah, no, but for real, I think that is my biggest key to this game for Ohio State is getting out to a fast start, much like the Tennessee game.
Yeah, I think you need to give yourself a buffer. And I think you're exactly right, Chad. I think you need to give yourself a buffer because this Notre Dame offense is not going to consistently beat you.
Yeah.
You're going to get stops in this game against Notre Dame. You're going to. Everybody that has played Notre Dame has gotten stops against Notre Dame. But Notre Dame is also capable. It's kind of the way they played. To me, Notre Dame, the game that really encompassed what I think of Notre Dame, especially offensively, is that Georgia game.
Yeah.
It's a game where Notre Dame could get nothing going offensively in the first half. They struggled. They sputtered. They looked mediocre at best offensively. And then that third quarter happened.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Notre Dame is capable of going like 21 points in a quarter.
Right.
Will they do that for a game? No. But for one quarter, they're capable of having that kind of explosion, right? Jeremiah Love is spectacular.
Oh, God, I love that.
He's a spectacular running back. Riley Leonard is like a poor man's version of Will Howard.
Yeah.
Like he's a pretty smart player. He can certainly make plays with his legs.
He's like a more athletic Craig Krenzel.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a scary thought because we know what Craig Krenzel did.
Right.
So for the Buckeyes, man, I feel like if the Buckeyes can come out and do that thing that they've done to almost everybody. I know they got out to a quick 7-0 lead against Texas, but the way they jumped out on Oregon, the way they jumped out on Tennessee, it doesn't have to be that dramatic. It doesn't have to be 34-0.
No.
But man, if they can get out to like 14 or 17,
right.
I don't know that Notre Dame will have the ability to come back from that because the farther away you get from them, the more ineffective you make the run game with Jeremiah Love.
Right.
That has to be the goal for Ohio State. Jump out early and let's see how quickly we can make Notre Dame turn to Riley Leonard and stop giving the ball to Jeremiah Love.
Yeah. And Jeremiah Love has a bad knee too. He has a bad knee. Let's remind you. But even with that bad knee, did you see that like second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth effort touchdown run he made against Penn State?
Yeah. He's a stud. Now, having said this, Chad.
Yeah.
I'm not really afraid of Notre Dame.
No, I'm not either. Like I said, I think Ohio State still wins. I don't think it's as much of a lock. Like, I think that, let me say that the 9.5 point spread seems a little steep after I rewatched that Penn State Notre Dame game.
To me, and we said this last week.
Yeah.
To me, Chad, the two teams that I think were most evenly matched up are the two teams that played last week.
Yeah.
Which were Notre Dame and Penn State, who played to a 27-24 game. Then Notre Dame won with a field goal with 8 seconds left. To me, in my head, the way I see this game going is pretty similar to the way the Ohio State-Penn State game went. It's probably not going to be the most high-scoring game.
No, yeah.
But I don't know that Notre Dame's offense is going to get going against this Ohio State, especially, man, you said it, Chad. When Ohio State beat Tennessee, their defense looked like they turned it up to a level that we haven't seen in years out of the Ohio State defense.
Yeah.
And then they did it again against Oregon. And then they did it again against Texas.
Yeah.
This defense is playing, this is the Silver Bullets in a way that it hasn't been in a long, long time.
Right. Yes.
The way this defense is playing, I don't know that Notre Dame is going to be able to go down and score the amount of points needed to overcome Ohio State. So while I think it could be a pretty close game, remember Ohio State beat Penn State 20-13. I think it could be something like that.
Right.
I also think I think this could be one of those like relatively comfortable close games.
Right.
Like one of those games where Ohio State's winning by 10, which shouldn't make you comfortable.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of times where I don't think Notre Dame's going to threaten in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of how I have it too. Like when I was thinking of like a score prediction for this game, I feel like 24-13, 28-17 is like the right score.
Which goes right along with the Vegas line, right? They've got what, 9.5?
Yeah.
I think that's probably pretty close. Again, I think Ohio State, in the end, my prediction, and 28-17 was my score prediction.
Yeah.
I think Ohio State is going to win by double digits.
Yeah.
I think they are going to beat every team that they play in the college football playoffs by double digits. I think it's going to be one of the most convincing college football national champions of all time.
Yeah.
And I think when the game is over Monday night, I think the Ohio State Buckeyes, again, are raising their third national championship trophy of this century.
Yeah.
And I think I think we're celebrating a championship again in Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, and like outside of Jeremiah Love, that Notre Dame offense just isn't impressive. They just don't have the horses, right? They don't have they don't have the athletes that Oregon or a Texas does. I'll tell you what, that Texas team scared the shit out of me at one point, right? When every time that they would beat the blitz and get it out to their running backs in the flat, there's nobody on that Ohio State defense that could have kept up, that matched up with with those Texas running backs one-on-one. So I was like, oh, great. They're just going to keep feeding these guys. But they adjusted well. Notre Dame's offense just doesn't have the horses to be able to keep up.
Yeah, you have to. The key to this game is just do not let Notre Dame's defense win the football game for Notre Dame.
Right.
That's the key.
Right. Sure.
It's okay to punt.
Yeah.
It is okay to flip the field. It's perfectly acceptable. Do not let it. Penn State found out. Again, I was heartbroken. Drew Eller found out at the end of that game when he made an ill-advised pass. Notre Dame's defense won the game for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Ohio State can't let Notre Dame's defense win the game if they play smart. Ohio State is just so. What I've loved about this playoff run, Chad.
Yeah.
It's been full display that just anybody on any given night can win a game for Ohio State.
Yeah, for sure.
Look at Travion Henderson in that game against Texas, that little screen pass that he took to the house.
I mean, one move and gone.
and it's been Jeremiah Smith a bunch, and it could be Emeka Ibuka, and it can be Quinshon Judkins, and they just have so many guys that can make that play that you need. So be smart. Go ahead and punt the ball when Notre Dame's defense is playing well. That's fine.
Yeah.
Don't give them the ball.
Right.
And their offense is not going to have enough to beat this Ohio State defense, which is playing just as good as Notre Dame's defense.
Right.
If not better. That's the key to the game, but I think Ohio State wins by double digits.
Yeah.
And
it's just
what
not
a run.
going to feel like a blowout. Like you said, it's comfortable, but not going to feel like a total blowout.
So I'm down here, Chad. I'm at this work event, and it's a regional event. So we got a lot of people here from like Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, obviously Kentucky, a lot of people from there. And this guy from Michigan gets up to like give a presentation today, and he says, just remember what a famous Buckeye head coach once said, which is, you can't truly claim a national championship if you don't win the game. Real quick. Bullshit. All the bullshit. All the bullshit.
Dude, now that you mentioned it, I'm going to skip to one of my assholes of the week. And that's Michigan fan, right? Like, listen, yeah, I get it. You have every right for bragging rights to beat Notre Dame, right? But man, oh man, to try and discredit this national championship run is so fucking like petty. Like, coping season is real right now for Michigan fan. I saw a guy today, Mike, that said, literally, he showed the highlights of last year's national championship game. He said, are you ready for this one? You sitting down? He goes, Michigan had to play Michael Penix and a bunch of NFL caliber receivers. Ohio State has to play Riley Leonard. Like, okay, first of all, dipshit. Because Ohio State has control of who they're going to play in the national championship.
Ohio State had the hardest path to the national championship.
And if we're living in the past, 2002 Ohio State's national championship team was way greater than last year's Michigan's national championship team, because that Miami team was absolutely loaded with Hall of Famers And it's like, stop trying to discredit this. Like, I know you're jealous. I know you're coping. We've had to cope with the loss to you guys for the last 4 years. Just deal with it a little better. Don't try to
listen.
discredit this.
I take nothing away from their bragging rights abilities. They get bragging rights, but
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now, I would happily trade a loss to Michigan for a national title game, a national championship, all day, every day.
And Michigan fan, the rivalry is going to become more and more irrelevant as the years go by.
Anyway, go ahead.
Listen, I'll trade it all day, every day. What are we talking about here?
I know.
Michigan, the Michigan football team is going to be watching the game on Monday from a B-dubs.
I know.
Do you think the Ohio State Buckeyes football play? Do you think Quinshon Judkins and Will Howard aren't going to sleep Sunday night because they're like, oh, but we didn't beat Michigan? Nah.
Rings?
You're watching the game from a B-dubs, and Ohio State's playing it.
Rings greater than gold pants. Thank you.
Correct. Hey, our buddy Brad Ward, who hosts, big time host on this channel and does just so much great work for the OBR. He doesn't like the 9-point line. He thinks it's going to be a close game. 9 points is too many. I don't agree.
Yeah.
I think Ohio State's going to win every game of this playoff by double digits.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a close game, Brad. I don't disagree with Brad Ward here. I think it's going to be close. I think in the end, Ohio State wins by somewhere between 10 and 14 points.
Yeah.
I would love then to have the conversation on how great this Ohio State team was. And I know the Michigan fan out there is going to be like, yeah, but you lost to Michigan. Yeah, they did. And I put that game entirely on coaching.
Right.
That Michigan loss entirely goes on coaching. They tried, for some reason, Ryan Day every year thinks that you have to win a Michigan game by running the football.
Yeah.
And so he just didn't play to the strength of his team at all.
He loses their identity.
Him and Chip Kelly did not call the game to the strength of the Buckeyes. Yeah, okay. But in the end, people thought Tennessee was going to beat Ohio State. Ohio State won by 100.
Right.
People thought Oregon was going to run away with that game. Ohio State won by 100.
Right.
I had all these Texas people. Oh, no, Texas, SEC, the SEC, blah, 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 Texas. No, Ohio State won by double digits. I don't know that I would say Notre Dame's the best team that Ohio State has played.
Yeah.
I think Oregon was.
I completely agree. Yeah.
So I got Ohio State by double digits. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to watch it. And I do love the matchup. I'm not a Notre Dame guy.
No, me neither.
I don't like Notre Dame. I'm not a fan of Notre Dame's. I don't pull for Notre Dame, but I do think college football is good when Notre Dame is good.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a better thing. And I think they have earned their way into this championship game. And that this is the first time in a long time that I think Notre Dame has actually earned their way into the national championship game. That game back in like 2012 or whatever, when they got their doors blown off by Alabama.
Yeah.
They got put in because they were Notre Dame and they don't have a conference and they've got a great TV contract and they didn't deserve to be in that game.
No.
But this Notre Dame team, this team deserves to be in this game.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be an amazing game. And the Ohio State Buckeyes are just one game away from raising that title. I cannot wait. I can't wait.
Let's go.
All right. Let's go to the Browns. Chad.
Sure you have an asshole of the week? I gave you one of mine. I have two.
Yeah. Yes. I guess.
We don't have to. I just wondered because I just mentioned mine. I didn't know if you wanted to.
Nah, I'll give you an assoll of the week. We'll do asshole of the week and then we'll move on to the Browns because I'll just transition it seamlessly. And I think I've done this a bunch of times, but I just can't help it. Everything surrounding the Cleveland Browns and the city of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Are my asshole of the week.
Right.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
The Browns are an embarrassing organization right now. The city of Cleveland and the way they are whining. And to be very honest with you, the way all of the sudden, and I love the city of Cleveland. But my biggest gripe forever has been that the city of Cleveland will not develop the lakefront. They won't.
Right.
They won't make it a park space. They won't make it a retail space. You go to Chicago and the whole lakefront is awesome.
Right.
And you go to Cleveland and the lakefront is a salt mine and it smells like shit. And that's the lakefront of Cleveland. It just is a dump that smells like shit. And they don't develop it. And we got an airport that's for rich people. And there's nothing. All of a sudden, the Browns threaten to leave. And the city of Cleveland's like, well, hold on. We're going to develop this whole lakefront property.
Right.
Well, we just secured a grant that we're going to now we're going to develop all this property down here. Bitch, it's too late.
Yeah.
Do it anyways. But the Browns are kind of already the bad guy anyways. But now the city of Cleveland is the bad guy. They filed the lawsuit tonight. They officially filed the lawsuit to challenge the Modell law. It's not going to work. And I just think they're all assholes. And to be honest with you, everything surrounding the Cleveland Browns outside of individual players.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Myles Garrett. I'm not talking about Denzel Ward. I'm not talking about Wyatt Teller and JOK. That's not who I'm talking about.
Right.
Players are exempt, except for one of them. But everything about the organization of the Browns and this relationship with the city and all that, they're all assholes. It is an embarrassment to all of us proud people that live in Cleveland. They're embarrassing.
Yeah.
And that includes the city. It's all of them.
The whole city. Yeah, for sure. So I already mentioned my one, Michigan fan. And my second one is, listen, I know this is me just being, I don't know if this is me just being cynical or if this is actual problem, but I'm getting a little tired of hearing about the celebrities' homes that have burned down in California. Wildfires.
Yep.
Like listen, and that's not to say that I don't feel bad for them that they got their homes burned down. Like I don't, I do. I feel terrible for them.
For anybody that has to go through that.
For the whole situation. But the only thing in my mind when I see another fucking post of like Whitney Cummings is evacuating or, every celebrity, Paris Hilton's home just burned down. You know where they're evacuating to? Their other homes in New York, in Paris, in Texas. You
know what they have? The money.
The money. That's why. Yeah. So they already have multiple homes everywhere. And then like to hear these podcasts, them talking about it so casually, like fucking Bert Kreischer was, I'm just going to rent for the rest of my life. I'm not going to like just so casually, like, no, it's not what we should be focusing on. Yeah. And I know I get it why. So it's like, I feel bad for them, but at the same time, I don't, because they're going to be fine. That's all I do is they're going to be fine. So I'm just tired of hearing about their homes.
I feel bad for anybody that loses their home. I am somebody who watched my house go up in flames once, and it's to this day the most traumatizing experience I've ever had in my whole life.
Yeah, Jesus. I didn't know that.
Yeah. 5 cities fire trucks responded to my house, and it was awful. It was awful.
Was it when you were a kid? Like what?
No, 2011.
Holy shit.
And it was an electrical fire, and I am paranoid to this day about the electrical in my house. Like I'm paranoid about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the fire started next to my bed.
Oh my God.
And luckily it started at 7:30, because if it would have started at midnight, I wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
Because the first thing that went up in flames was my bed.
Oh my God.
Yeah, crazy. So I don't care whether you're rich or a celebrity. I don't care whether you're poor and unknown. I don't care if you're somewhere in the middle. When you watch something something is private and personal,
right.
Your house,
right,
go up in flames, you'll never get over it. You'll never get over it. At the same time, I agree with you, Chad.
Yeah.
We don't. Why are we? Harrison Ford. I love Harrison Ford. I think I love everything Harrison Ford has ever been in.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going to be fine.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying, like, I feel bad that they lost it, but the only thing that was going through my head was, he's like going to go to his apartment in New York, like his $2 million apartment in New York.
Brad Ward in the comments also thinks the city of Cleveland is kind of an asshole. It's a show. They just want it to look like they are resisting. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Because they can't. This doesn't even fall under the Modell law anyways. This is a show.
They want to make it. They want to make it look to the citizens that they're. We tried. We tried, and it's staying in the fucking county. Who cares?
You know what I'd rather have the city do is say, hey, if that's what they want to do, then that's what they're going to do.
Like it would be.
But what we're going to do,
yeah.
What I'd rather have instead of the city looking like these whiny, bitchy group of people, I'd rather have them come out and say, the Browns have made their choice and they're going to move to Brook Park. And there's not a lot we're going to be able to do about that. But you know what we are going to do is we're going to rebuild that whole area. And we are going to make it awesome. And we're going to do exactly what the people of this city have been screaming for. And Justin Bibb should come out and talk like that. Instead of being like, oh, they're the bad guys and blah, blah. Nah, hey, Browns are going to do what they're going to do. We're going to make that area better than it's ever been before. And it's going to be a win-win for everybody. But instead, they're acting like bitchy. Oh, it's so annoying. And it's embarrassing. And again, I feel for all the people of the city of Cleveland because we deserve better than all of this.
Yeah, and at its basic, like nuts and bolts, the Browns are moving 10 minutes away. Like it'd be one thing if this team was, if they were like trying to move to, I don't know, Milwaukee or something, right?
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
That way, like then I understand, like the city doing all of this stuff. They're moving 10, 15 minutes away.
It's fine.
Who cares? And staying in the same county. Who cares?
And it's going to make another part of the county much nicer than what it currently is, because it's not just going to be that area that gets built up. It's going to be a whole section of Brook Park Road that's going to be much nicer in the end.
Yeah.
So what the city of Cleveland should do is just look ahead and say, here's how we're going to make this better. And the Browns are going to make this better. And it can be a win-win for all of the people in the city. And yet we have the immaturity, this maturity of level of my 7-year-old talking to my 3-year-old about who's building with the blocks. And that's what this conversation reminds me of. And it's annoying and it's embarrassing. And God damn it, we can't just get an adult in the room.
Yeah.
To borrow a phrase from the Cleveland Browns, can't just get a goddamn adult in the room.
Nope.
Oh, it gets me so fired up. It's so annoying because, again, this is a city that has this passion and this loyalty. When you are from Cleveland, and not a lot of cities understand this. I think Pittsburgh understands it. I think Detroit understands it. I think Buffalo understands it.
Yeah.
When you're from here, there is this internal pride that I don't think a lot of people from other cities understand.
Right.
Because not only are we from here and we feel this pride, but we have felt our whole lives beat up for it.
Right.
From people that aren't from here. And we deserve so much better. And we just don't get it. We don't get it anywhere, anytime. It's embarrassing. And they should all be ashamed. They should all be ashamed. And Brad Ward said it. The law was created to keep teams from moving to New Mexico, not 10 miles down the road. 100%, Brad. So, anyways, let's get off of the asshole portion of this, because that was my first part I wanted to talk about with the Browns anyways, which is the city of Cleveland filing a nonsensical lawsuit. I'm sure it's going to cost millions of taxpayer dollars to do nothing. But let's talk about some positives. And I do think the news that got let out today is a positive. The Browns have their offensive coordinator, Chad.
Yeah.
And their offensive coordinator is a man in the building, and it's Tommy Rees, who was the tight ends coach, who was an offensive coach at Alabama, who was an offensive coach at Notre Dame, who was the quarterback at Notre Dame. Tommy Rees is, I think, widely viewed as kind of that next young, really great coach. And the Cleveland Browns locked him up. He will serve as Kevin Stefanski's offensive coordinator. And I have to tell you, Chad, I'm ecstatic about it. I'm ecstatic. I think they made exactly the right move.
Cool. Now back to my regularly scheduled break from this team.
We got to talk about it for a minute.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't know much about him. I mean, I know him as Turnover Tommy when he was the quarterback for Notre Dame.
Well, hopefully he doesn't coach that.
Yeah. I mean, I know he threw a bunch of touchdowns and turnovers, but I knew him more in college. I don't know a ton about him. But from the little I do know is it seems like his offensive philosophies are kind of in lockstep with Kevin Stefanski. So I think this is going to be a much better pairing offensively for the Browns next year. It's just, I mean, now it's just a matter of getting the right quarterback and the right playmakers in place.
Well, I think everybody's jumping to one conclusion that I don't think I'm ready to jump to yet.
Okay.
I think everybody's jumping to this conclusion that this signifies that Kevin Stefanski is going to take back play calling duties. I don't know that I'm buying into that yet. We'll see what they say about it.
Okay.
But what I do believe is this. I think a Tommy Rees called offense will look a lot more similar to a Kevin Stefanski called offense than a Ken Dorsey offense looked this last year.
Yeah.
I think Tommy Rees and Kevin Stefanski, kind of like you said, Chad, are kind of in lockstep on how they want this offense to look.
Yeah.
It's not going to surprise me in the slightest if they hand over the play calling duties to Tommy Rees. It's not. I know everybody thinks this just means Kevin Stefanski is going to take it back over. I don't know if I'm buying into that. I think Kevin Stefanski and Tommy Rees are going to work together to build an offense. And it will not surprise me at all for Kevin Stefanski to continue kind of watching over the whole team, because that did get said this year about Kevin Stefanski, is that the players felt a lot closer to him this year, that they felt like he was more connected to them this year. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
It won't surprise me at all if Kevin Stefanski hangs on to that portion. He is the head coach and Tommy Rees is calling plays. I think Kevin Stefanski trusts that more than he probably did even giving the play calling to Ken Dorsey.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is a kid this is Tommy Rees, man, young dude. He learned under Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he understands that his learning experience as a coach is really impressive. And I think people are jumping to that conclusion too fast. I think Kevin Stefanski will be very involved in the offense, but I think they're going to, something tells me that Kevin Stefanski understands how important his role as a head coach is.
Yeah.
And something tells me that Tommy Rees is going to take over as OC and call plays.
Yeah.
And I want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like something that, remains to be seen. I mean, I do know Tommy Rees. A lot of Alabama fans, again, college, but a lot of Alabama fans had a problem with the way he called offense. But, I mean, hey, everybody.
As they were winning national titles.
I would say, you get a second chance. I mean, he gets a chance here in the NFL to prove his worth as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. And, I mean, they're off to the right foot. They're starting off on the right foot in that they want this offense to look the same. Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, whether it's Tommy calling the plays or Kevin calling the plays, if that's the case, that they are kind of have the same vision of how they want this offense to look, then yeah, I mean, I have confidence whether it's going to be him or Kevin calling the plays. So
I agree.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. If you're jumping to that conclusion of Kevin calling plays or Tommy calling plays, who cares? As long as the offense looks good, that's just a sign that they're both working together very, very well. So I don't think it really matters as long as they are on the same page.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think it says something. I think they felt like they almost needed, if they wanted Tommy Rees to stay in the building, they almost needed to make this move, because I mean, a lot of rumors out there where Mike Vrabel really has this connection with him and wanted to bring him over to New England. And there's a lot of other teams that really view him as kind of the next big thing offensively, play calling wise. And the Cleveland Browns, I think, looked at it and said, we don't want to lose this guy. We want him in our building. I think this was just the obvious choice from the beginning. I know our people here at the OBR, I know Brad Stainbrook was on this from the beginning, saying that the most likely outcome here is Tommy Rees becomes the offensive coordinator, and that's what we're going to get. And I'm excited about it, because I think what they tried to do last year, and I said this on the show, Chad. I think Kevin Stefanski opened things up after last year to say, hey, maybe we need a new and different voice in the room to help us get to that next level. I actually applauded Kevin Stefanski for bringing in Ken Dorsey because it showed this willingness to look internally and say, hey, maybe I need somebody else with a different perspective to just help us go forward. And after 1 year of a failed experiment, I'm glad to see Kevin Stefanski be like, okay, we're going to go back to my way of doing things. And this is the guy that fits that bill the best. And I'm excited for that because I think those two minds working together on a more similar level is going to be really good for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
But like you said, Chad, none of it is going to matter if you don't find a guy that can run the offense.
Yeah.
And so we don't have any. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be careful how I say this because I think there's going to be more and more stuff that comes out. But it appears that there is starting to form a little bit of a light at the end of the Deshaun tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let that develop as it will. I'm not reporting anything. I don't have inside knowledge, but it certainly does appear that way.
Right.
With the news of the second torn Achilles and all that stuff.
Interesting. Yeah.
There's a lot going on there.
Maybe you shouldn't have been dancing on vacation without a boot on, dipshit.
This piece of shit. He's never playing another down for the Browns.
Nope,
And I can't.
He sure isn't.
I couldn't be happier about anything.
Yeah.
But again, things haven't changed for me. Here's what I will say though. We're at this point in draft evaluations where people are starting, in my opinion, to dramatically overthink things.
Oh, God, yes. Well, that's what they're going to do until the draft happens. It's what they always do.
And I don't know. The draft is so not an exact science. I don't know what's going to turn out, especially a draft like this where, again, there's just not that number one definitive kind of guy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Here's where my brain is starting to take me, and people are smarter than me on this subject, and people watch a lot more film than I do. But I'm starting to love the position that the Browns are in.
Yeah.
In this. Who's been the number one, like the guy that everybody all season long has talked about as the number one quarterback in college football?
Shedeur Sanders.
Right. And all of a sudden, what's happening to his stock?
It's falling.
Mm-hmm. And what are the rumors?
The rumors are that his dad is going to coach the Dallas Cowboys, or, it was the Las Vegas Raiders for a minute, and that he's going to trade up to get Shedeur because the only way he wanted to coach in the NFL was if he was able to coach Shedeur and Shiloh together.
Yep. And the other rumors are that, teams really like Cam Ward a lot better. And there's a lot of teams that don't even have a first round grade on Shedeur and all, right? And I think a lot of it is starting to get overblown. And part of me is starting to go, here's this dude that played a really good season. Here's this dude that was the number one kind of consensus guy all year long. And there's a lot of people that are being real smart about the way they're talking about things. And they're really overthinking everything. And maybe Tennessee takes Cam Ward. If Shedeur Sanders falls in the Browns' lap and they take him, I feel like they got the best quarterback in the draft.
Okay.
Shedeur's a great player.
Sure.
Is he a definitive guaranteed hit in the NFL? No, but he's got great arm strength. He's very accurate. He's mobile. He can do a million things.
Yeah.
And part of me just feels like the Tennessee Titans are going to overthink their way into a different player. And the Browns potentially have the best quarterback just sitting there waiting for him. Again, I don't know that I think he's going to be a great player, but the more I hear people say that he's not, the more I'm sitting here going, I think we're just trying to be too smart about this. I think everybody's trying to be too smart and overthink it. Because the other options here, the other things here, okay, maybe Oakland or Vegas trades up. That would be great for the Browns. I would love to take a bunch of Vegas's draft picks because they're not going to be good again for a while.
Nope.
Maybe the Cowboys sign Dion to be the coach and they want to trade up to number 2. Guess how much they would have to trade for that?
If there's anybody who would overpay, who Deion Sanders would
Cowboys or the Raiders.
Or the Raiders. It's Mark Davis and Jerry Jones.
I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, muted yourself. Yeah, I can't hear you anymore. Yeah, no, if there's anybody who would it's Mark Davis or Jerry Jones. I mean, and the things that the packages that Jerry and Mark would have to give up would be enormous, right? I mean, I even think, and I don't know if the Browns would take on this contract. I don't know if you guys would take on this contract, but you got to think that maybe Dak Prescott is in there, is in the deal, part of a package from the Cowboys to the Browns in order to move up to number 2. I mean, the Browns are in a favorable position with a couple of teams here to be able to get a king's ransom for that number 2 pick as well, or they can stand pat and take a shot at Shador as well. Although I don't know, I do think the Dion reports are true. Like there's something, I think there's really is something to that, even if Dion doesn't become the Cowboys head coach. But yeah, it would be. I mean, a king's ransom. Is there anything bigger than a king's ransom? Right. It would just be an incredible haul that the Browns would get for that number 2 pick, whether it be the Raiders or the Cowboys.
They're in such a great spot. And again, we're sitting here on this precipice of maybe having a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel of this Deshaun Watson nightmare.
Yeah.
And then you're at this point where maybe you can get the replacement in the draft, or maybe you get this, like you said, king's ransom for trading out of it. The Cleveland Browns are all of a sudden, things are starting to look up.
Yeah.
Things are starting to look up for the roster and the way this team is structured and organized and built. And I'm excited about it. Black Dog 5 says this, and I can't, I've heard this a lot from our OBR brethren, and I can't get it out of my head. How great of a player is Travis Hunter, right?
He's polarizing. He's incredibly polarizing.
He was the best overall player in college football this year. You can't argue it. Here's the problem. Is he the best cornerback that's going to be in the draft? No. Is he the best wide receiver that's going to be in the draft? No.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to play the same amount of snaps in the NFL on both sides of the football that he did in college? No. Do I think Travis Hunter is going to be a really good player in the NFL? Yes. 100%. Yes. Because I think he's just instinctively amazing. And I think he just kid lives, eats, breathes, and sleeps football. But I don't know if I want Travis Hunter at 2. I think there may be better options.
What if, now you being a Ewers guy, what if he does declare and you take Hunter at 2 and then Quinn at the top of the second?
I wouldn't be mad. Listen, if Travis Hunter wound up on the Browns, I wouldn't be mad. But
yeah.
Would I rather have like Abdul Carter out of Penn State? Probably.
Sure.
Put him next to Myles Garrett, on the opposite of Myles Garrett, and roll with that. Yeah. Oh, I'm good.
Micah Parsons 2.0.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. I just think the more I'm letting this sink in and the more I'm evaluating things and the more I'm watching people overthink their analysis of players in the draft, the more confident I'm becoming in the fact that the Cleveland Browns are just in an incredible situation.
Yeah.
And God, if this Deshaun Watson thing goes the way that we all hope it goes, there's a really good chance that at some point this offseason, we're all looking at the Cleveland Browns going, holy shit.
Yeah. All will be made clear come like free agency and the draft,
Yeah.
like depending on what they do, how different their room is going to look next year, the quarterback room is going to look next year. All is going to be made clear. But as of right now, as far as the draft is concerned, yeah, I mean, I think the Browns hold an incredible hand, an incredible deck of cards.
The Cleveland Browns are very close to making their 3-win season an anomaly.
Yeah.
And to getting back to being the team that we expect them to be. They're this close. They need a couple things to go the right way for them, but they're this close.
It's just a matter of the quarterback.
Okay, so only about 20 minutes left here, Chad, but I want to spend a few minutes on the other couple of teams that we cover here.
Sure.
And I'm going to transition us over into one of the hottest teams in the NHL. What's happening, Chad? We're approaching. It was just a couple weeks ago that we were talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets as a team that, hey, maybe they could creep into a wild card spot. We're now approaching the territory with the Columbus Blue Jackets that it's like, it might not be a wild card slot that the Columbus Blue Jackets are approaching. It may be higher than that. What is going on with these boys? They won again tonight. What is that, 7 in a row?
9-2-1 in their last 12 games, Mike.
What?
9-2-1. These boys are playing with the confidence of just a veteran-laden team right now. And it was going to take a couple years. I mean, if you're a Blue Jacket fan, you got to embrace the long game because this is still a build, right? This is still a build to something great. But the leap that these kids are making this year has been incredible to watch. Zach Werenski, I mean, him and Cale Makar reached 50 points tonight, Mike, within minutes of each other.
Imagine.
Oh, God, had to let that sneeze out there.
Well, that was nice. Bless you, Chad.
Yeah, thank you. Within 50 points within minutes of each other. I mean, Werenski is certainly a Norris Cup trophy candidate. And he has really been, honestly, he's really been the catalyst to everything. Whether he's helping on goals, whether he's scoring goals, whether he's leading the defense, he's leading the team in minutes played as well. So, I mean, between him and then Fantilli has filled in admirably for Monahan over the last couple of games as well. Just distributing to Marchenko, and I don't know, just it really is. It's just the perfect mix of the young kids making a leap, the veterans pulling their weight, and good enough goaltending. That's what I say. Good enough goaltending. Daniil Tarasov was great tonight, and he has struggled mightily all season. But 23 of 25 tonight, and it's just it really is the structure, the discipline, and the confidence that this team is playing with right now. It's so fun to watch, Mike. It is so fun to watch. I mean, I could go on and on about all of these players, but it looks like this train isn't going to be moving, or is just going to keep rolling, especially when you look at the schedule down the line.
Well, and listen, there's a chance with the way this team is structured and organized and how young they are and all that stuff. There's a chance that they go through another growing pain situation where they lose some games and maybe don't make the playoffs.
Well, sure. I mean, it's going to end at some point. Yeah.
We don't want to think that way, but
no.
But if that happens, it's also because they're in this Eastern Conference that is just wildly competitive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
The Eastern Conference in the NHL is unbelievable. There's no disaster teams. There's no bullshit terrible teams, right? Like Buffalo is the worst team in the Eastern Conference. And they'd be damn near knocking on a wild card spot in the West.
Yeah.
Like every team in the Eastern Conference is within 8 points of that second wild card spot.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's incredibly, there's a chance Columbus maybe goes in that kind of into that growing pain situation towards the end of the year, and maybe they get overcome by another team. But like the growth that this team is showing, and I'll tell you what, we talked a lot about the Cavs, and we'll talk about the Cavs here in a minute. But we've got two teams in Ohio here that have brought in a new coach this year who have made immediate and dramatic and drastic impacts on the teams that they are coaching. Whether you're talking about Kenny Atkinson and the Cleveland Cavaliers, which again, we'll get to that in a minute, or whether you're talking about Dean Evison and the Columbus Blue Jackets, man, the Columbus Blue Jackets have taken on the identity of Dean Evison.
Right.
They have bought into everything he has sold them. And it's a team that has been desperate for that, whether it's having their last two coaches had zero NHL head coaching experience, not to say anything bad about them, but they had no head coaching experience. So there wasn't a lot of inspiration there. Or whether it was the goddamn Mike Babcock experience that was just a fucking disaster.
Right.
All of a sudden they have this guy that you could just tell they respect him and they listen and they admire what he is trying to do. And they have 100% bought into this.
Yeah.
And the future for this team. Think about how young this Blue Jackets team. This is way, way ahead of schedule.
Yeah, 100%.
For the Columbus Blue Jackets, which means think about what the next 3, 4, 5 years means for this team. The Columbus Blue Jackets. I talked about the Browns being on the precipice of something special. That's right where the Columbus Blue Jackets are.
But the difference between the Browns and the Blue Jackets right now, Mike, is this is the house money season. Because no matter what the Blue Jackets do the rest of the season, absolutely nobody expected them to be in this position that they're in right now. So anything they do from here on out, whether they make the second wild card spot, first wild card spot, get into a playoff spot, or whether they finish just out of the playoffs, anything they do from here on out is icing on the cake. Because I'm telling you what. All anybody's gonna do is look forward to next season, right? There's gonna be expectations next season, but enjoying the ride of the rest of this season, like I said, is because of it's the house money season. Nobody is expecting them to be in this position. So wherever they go, wherever they end up, it's been a great season so far. It has been a great season, and I just can't wait. I mean, my God, Marchenko, did you see the shootout goal? Marchenko used the fire poker tonight.
Him and Kent Johnson
to beat the Flyers tonight. I don't know if he has to pay Texier royalties, but he used the fire poker tonight, and it's just he is becoming a superstar in this league, and it's just it's one of the youngest teams in the league, and they're just only going to get better. And I love this team.
And here's the other thing, right? Like I feel like I'm kind of setting it up for like maybe they're going to regress a little bit at the end of the year, but I don't know why I'm doing that.
Right.
Blue Jackets team can get through the next couple of weeks, right? Like they suffered a humongous injury situation with Sean Monahan. He's been one of their best players all season long.
Yeah.
So to have him off the ice for any amount of time is tough. But the fact that he's only going to be off the ice for what it looks like a couple of weeks is what they're saying, is such a win for them. And then to get the news, Chad, that Boone Jenner is way ahead of schedule on his recovery. And we were talking about Boone Jenner maybe coming back like for the last 5 or less games of the season.
Yeah.
Sounds like he might be back way ahead of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can make it through this couple weeks without Monahan and stay hot, and then all of a sudden you can add Boone Jenner to this mix.
Yeah.
All of a sudden this team might actually be dangerous, Chad. Like this might not be a team that just makes it into the playoffs. This could be a team that maybe becomes dangerous in the playoffs.
Yeah, it could be a team. It can be a team that makes some noise. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm not going to get ahead of myself, honestly, because like I said, this is still very much a rebuild. But the fact that these guys are playing at the level that they are is just sweet, and I'm just going to enjoy this ride for as long as it takes.
No, and it's not for me. It's not predicting that. I'm not predicting that's going to happen. I'm just saying all of a sudden it looks like a possibility, and 3 months ago, that you would have been laughed out of the building if you would have said that.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So the Blue Jackets remain red hot. They beat their former head coach, John Tortorella, the last time they had a coach that inspired them the way Dean Evison is doing. And they beat the Flyers tonight, and the Columbus Blue Jackets just, again, securely in the playoff race in the Eastern Conference, which is just a wild thing to say. I'll never forget. I think it was you, Chad, that sent that little wheel earlier in the season, and it had all the NHL teams on it.
Right.
And the percentage chance they had to make the playoffs. And there were only 2 teams that weren't even listed on it. and it was the Blue Jackets and the San Jose Sharks.
Right.
They gave them 0%. Don't even talk to me about it. And
Right.
here the Blue Jackets are fighting for a playoff spot down the stretch. You couldn't ask for more than this. Unbelievable.
Let's go.
Speaking of you couldn't ask for more than this, Cleveland Cavaliers have their 12-game winning streak snapped the other night as the Indiana Pacers go into Cleveland. And for the first time one of the first times this season, the Cavs played a bad game. Like, even in some of their losses this year, they didn't play bad games. The other team just played better.
Yeah.
But for the first time this season, on Sunday, the Cleveland Cavaliers just played a terrible game.
Yeah.
They got out rebounded, they got outshot, they got out assisted, they got out turnovered, they got their bench. You never see the Cavs bench get outscored. They got outscored.
Yeah.
All that by the Indiana Pacers in Cleveland on Sunday. But just like what the Cavaliers do this year, what happened? Cavaliers had a chance at redemption tonight in Indianapolis, and they go on the road and they beat the Pacers to basically take back that win that was stolen from them in Cleveland. And Chad, like, I don't know how much praise we can laud on this team, man.
Yeah.
This is you have to acknowledge this.
Yeah.
Even if you want to say you're a Browns person, or even if you want to say the Guardians are your number one team, or even if you want to say the Buckeyes or the Blue Jackets are your number one team, in all of my life, in all of my 40 years on this planet, Chad, this Cavaliers team ranks top 5 in my favorite teams that I've ever watched play for the city that I love. This Cavaliers team, man, it is special. And I know you're going to get those people that try to reel it in and try to put a leash on fun. I'm not putting a leash on fun, man. Yes, the success of this team will ultimately be determined. You can win 70 games in the regular season, but if you don't go on to win the to win the NBA title, it's going to put a damper on it. But right now, this team is everything you could ever hope for in a basketball team. They are everything you could ever hope for. This team is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you're much like the NHL season. You're almost halfway through the NBA season.
Yes.
And it's at a point now, once you get halfway through the NBA season, that's where it starts to feel like, okay, is the other shoe going to drop, or if it's sustainable? And this is sustainable. And it's a fun team to watch. I mean, the absence of egos on this team and the way they play together, their chemistry, it's their style of play. It is so much fun to watch. And I've said in the past, Mike, I've even said it with the bad Cavs teams, because I watched that game tonight. It was on national TV. I've said it with the bad Cavs teams. I've enjoyed watching this style of basketball way more. And God bless him. I love LeBron. I love LeBron forever. I enjoy watching this style of basketball way more than any other Cavs team in the past. And it is just, it's fun. The way they just, I don't know, with the way they like each other, with the way they're winning games too. It's just, I can't take my eyes off of it. They're forcing me to watch them this year. They're forcing me to watch them.
Well, so somebody asked me this question here today, because I'm with a lot of Indiana people, and I had a lot of Pacers fans talking to me about, I had a guy ask me, what was more fun, this team or the LeBron teams? And I said, it's a hard thing to answer, because I don't like the style of play the Cavs played with when they had LeBron.
Yeah.
But you had fun watching those teams because you knew you were watching greatness. You knew you were watching something that is probably never going to get replicated.
Yeah.
Or you knew you were watching something generational with LeBron.
Yeah.
You were watching a player that was doing things that, again, no player may ever do what LeBron is doing. Right. Nobody's ever going to break this point streak he's on. He's going to walk away with so many records in this basketball league.
Right.
That he's an all-time great. But the way this team plays, the way one night it might be Donovan Mitchell, and one night it may be Darius Garland, and one night it might be Evan Mobley, and one night it might be Jared Allen, and one night it might be Karis LeVert, and one night it might be Max Strus, and one night it might be this combination of Ty Jerome and George Niang or something like that. I love having a team where it's like, oh, if your best player, look, how many games have we seen them dominate that Donovan Mitchell didn't even play all that well?
Right.
That's the fun thing about this team, right? If in the LeBron era, if LeBron didn't play well in a game, your team was losing.
Yeah.
But
Basically.
like Donovan Mitchell cannot play well and they can win by 22 points.
Right.
The way they share the basketball, the way they hustle, the way they play defense. And again, that goes back to JB Bickerstaff. Don't talk shit about a dude that built a defensive philosophy with this team. But Kenny Atkinson enacting this offensive philosophy, I love hearing the other teams talk about playing the Cavs, Chad. That to me has been one of the most enjoyable parts of this entire season. When you hear, JJ Redick coming out after the Cavs play the Lakers going, you have to play perfect to beat them.
Yeah.
Or you hear Steve Kerr talking about, or Draymond Green saying, man, they played us better than we play us.
Right.
Like, just the way this team goes is awesome. But
and Brian Windhorst today, did you see that?
Yeah, coming out with the article saying guys just want to come play for the Cavs.
Yeah, he said multiple agents have told me that their players want to play for the Cavs.
Of course they do. Here's the issue. And Chad, this is how we'll end, and then we'll do our cheers of the week and get out of here. But we got room for maybe one more guy.
Sure. Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
I am still
a job. Come on down.
I'm still of the belief I don't want them to make a single trade. I do not want anybody removed from this team. I don't want George Niang removed from this team. I don't want Karis LeVert removed from this team. I don't want Ty Jerome removed from this team. I don't want any of these dudes removed from the team. I don't want a single player who is responsible for what's going on here removed from the team. So the only thing all the agents can talk about their players wanting to play here. To me, I think they should let the trade deadline come and go. Because what happens after the trade deadline? There's the buyout market.
Hey, Birdman, come on back.
I just go get a center that you are confident giving some minutes to, because some guys are going to get bought out.
Yeah.
For cap purposes. Go grab a big man that can come in and be productive when Evan Mobley or Jared Allen are off the floor. And all of a sudden, I don't know how you could make a more complete team. They don't need anything else.
Right.
They don't need anything else. People are talking about wings and deep. I'm like, they don't need that.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Dean Wade is your defensive wing. The dude is enormous, and he plays amazing defense.
Right.
And he can shoot the three.
Yeah.
You don't need a different guy than that.
Right.
Go out and just get a center in the buyout market and go win the NBA title. That's what the Cavs should do.
I believe they call that a 3-and-D guy.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, listen, it's been fun. We've got these two teams in the Cavaliers and the Blue Jackets. And I know here on the OBR, we focus so much on the Cleveland Browns. God damn it. But we got the Ohio State Buckeyes playing for a national championship Monday night. We've got the best team in the NBA here in Cleveland, in the Cleveland Cavaliers. We've got the most surprising and best story in the NHL in the Columbus Blue Jackets. We've got the Cleveland Guardians doing nothing coming off of an ALCS appearance, so super excited for that. But so much good surrounding the poop sandwich that is the Cleveland Browns. But we like to talk about all of it. And there's a lot of things to be positive about. And hopefully we just take that with us tonight. So, hey, Chad, speaking of positives, before we get out of here, let's do our cheers of the week. And I will start with mine. The last time you and I talked,
okay,
I was getting ready to embark upon a trip. And my cheer of the week is just the week that I have had. Katie and I got on a plane and flew to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and we were there from.
Oh my God, I hate how you say that too. Every time you said Puerto Vallarta,
Puerto Vallarta. That's how you say it.
It was like nails on a chalkboard for me the way you enunciated it. Everybody was like Puerto Vallarta.
That's Puerto Vallarta.
That's
how you say it. It's not Puerto Vallarta. Not how you say that, you idiot. No, we just had the best time, man. And that city is great. And the people there are great. We met so many good people. We made friends while we were down there. We saw whales jumping, like humpback whales jumping out of the water. It was unbelievable. And man, we had the best time. It's the first time Katie and I have been away from home for more than one night without our kids since my son was born over 7 years ago.
Nice.
And so shout out to Katie. Shout out to the good people of Puerto Vallarta.
That's better. If
And
like that and not so white, maybe I would have been okay with it.
And shout out to the guy who walks a donkey up and down the streets at night when you're out just hanging out at the bars, because that guy's cool as hell.
Sometimes you got to walk a donkey at night.
This whole week gets my cheer for me. What's your cheer of the week?
I don't know. I'm just going to cheers to Jim Knowles. I don't know. Like I saw that just speech at the press conference today, and we ran the same play, and it worked. Like he just the ultimate confident football guy in Jim Knowles, and I love him for it. Cheers to you. Go win us a natty.
I love it. All right. That's going to do it for us. When we are back next Tuesday, we're going to know the result of the national championship game. We're probably going to have more Browns news. We'll be talking about the Cavs and the Jackets. We're getting ever closer to the Guardians and spring training. So we'll talk about that.
I got an honorable mention. Cheers. I'm sorry.
Go on.
Real quick. Antonio Brown. Like he's a crazy dude, real crazy dude. But he has brought it with the comedy on his Twitter lately, and it's amazing. I laughed my ass off.
All right,
like the one tweet he had about Cam Newton when he was on that Special Forces show, and like Cam Newton was like jumping out of a boat onto a helicopter, and he goes, "This guy can't even jump on a fumble, but he can do this." He's brought it with the comedy lately. So Antonio Brown Twitter lately. Cheers to you. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
love you guys.
I hate that. Cheers. But you know what? Okay, fine. It's your choice. All right, that's going to do it for us here tonight on right. Brody Staples said you should chug a beer for that. Cheers. That was horrible. You should chug your beer.
Hey, funny is funny, okay?
CTE funny. I don't know. It's funny. That's going to do it for episode 246 of the Garage Beers podcast. Make sure you get over to the OBR and follow them and subscribe to everything OBR. Again, if you're not subscribed, this week should be the week that convinced you to subscribe, because the guys at the OBR were all over the breaking news. Again, they were reporting Tommy Rees being the number one guy for the last week, at least for the Cleveland Browns. All the best inside information happens with the OBR. So make sure you get to the OBR.com and subscribe, and make sure you're following on all the socials and the streaming platforms as well. Get over to the Garage Beers on all the socials, whether it's TikTok for the next 5 days, or whether it's Twitter or X or Facebook or whatever, and make sure you're subscribed and following and giving us some love over there as well. And that's it, man. That's going to do it for episode number 246. We appreciate you, everybody that joined us live here tonight. We love you. We appreciate the support. If you don't make it live to one of our shows, remember, you can always catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or you can just go to YouTube or Twitch and watch the shows later. So make sure you do that as well. But we appreciate your support and we love you. For Joey's not going to be here for a couple of weeks, but he will be back soon. But we still give him a shout out for Joey.
He's been here for the last 4 weeks.
I know, but he'll be back. At Garage Beers Joe, for Chad at Garage Beers Chad, I'm Michael Keefe at Garage Beers Mike. Again, go follow the show at The Garage Beers. And until next week for episode 247, we'll see you then. Cheers. And this week, go Buckeyes.
Let's go.